Thanks for joining us today on Polk Salad.
We've started the season and had two great shows.
Great idea. That's smart.
And we've just settled in quite nicely.
Welcome to another edition of Polk Salad, a bounty of conversation. This is Susan Fuller, and we're going to add a little salsa to our program today. We have three guests with us. Mark Girod, he is the Dean of the College Education here at Western Oregon University. We have Doris Cancel-Tirado. She's an associate professor here at Western. And we have Juan Navarro, a student at Western. I have Doris Cancel-Tirado with us today. She's an associate professor here at Western Oregon University, and she is going to be telling us about herself and also a grant that she received for a study on Latino children. And I want to welcome you to our show. Thanks for coming, Doris.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, you are not from the U.S. originally. You are from Puerto Rico?
Yes.
Okay. And tell us about how you come to this part of the world.
Well, I always wanted to complete my PhD. So once I finished my master's degree in Puerto Rico, I decided to move. I moved to Miami, a warmer area of the country. But I met a wonderful guy that it's a winemaker. So Oregon was the right destination for us. So we moved to Oregon. I completed my PhD studies at OSU, and then I was very lucky to find a great job at Western Oregon University.
Good, good. What department are you in? And
I'm in the Division of Health and Exercise Science.
okay. You're involved in other things as well, aren't you? You have a winery or a label you're trying to establish a winery as well.
Yes. My husband and I, we are starting a wine label called Vulcan Cellars. So hopefully we're going to have our first release at the end of 2016, the beginning of 2017.
Good, good. That's going to be something to look forward to.
Yes, yes.
And you have a couple of children.
I have two wonderful children. I have a 3-year-old. His name is Francisco. He is a sweetheart. He's a social butterfly like mom and dad. And I have a lovely daughter. Her name is Evangelina, and she's 1.5 years.
I love that name, Evangelina. Pretty.
Thank you.
So now tell us about this program that you got the grant for. I can tell you from talking to my daughter who writes grants that it is a difficult job to fill all the paperwork out and submit for a grant, and then to get it is fabulous. So tell us the process and then what this grant, what you're going to do with this $100,000.
Well, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation has a strong focus on improving the health of Americans overall. And within their mission, they have a focus on developing a culture of health. So they have developed a series of opportunities that target different aspects of their vision of what is a culture of health. So one of them is to increase the number of researchers that come from different backgrounds. Could be racial, ethnic backgrounds, could be first generation college student, or coming from a low socioeconomic status. The way they see is that if you increase the number of researchers, then we're gonna be able to approach health issues from different points of view. So they have a series of career development grants targeting populations that are working with disadvantaged populations. This one is called New Connections, and you develop a network of professionals working on health disparities affecting disadvantaged populations. I'm always been a big fan of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and the work that they do. I found out about this grant, and I thought it was a perfect fit for the work that I do, for my research interest, and I partnered with one of my mentors, Dr. Marie Harvey, work together on this grant where I am the primary investigator. And the grant is targeting the well-being of rural Latino youth, children in particular, and Latino mothers. So one of the things that we have seen in the last maybe 2 decades is that the growth in rural areas, and this is true for Polk County, have been due to an increase in the Latino population. But the Latino population will face different barriers related to health. So with this project, I'm going to look at secondary data of 13 states that have collected data on very rural communities, meaning that they have health provider shortage, and looking at how they are doing in terms of their physical and mental well-being, and what are the barriers and opportunities that their mothers have to promote health in their families.
Wow, that is a big scope that
Yes.
you're trying to cover. At first, I had thought it was exclusively Polk County, but that's a lot of area you're covering. And
Yeah, it's focusing on 13 counties, and each state will have different regulations. So even when we have the Affordable Health Care Act, the way that each state apply them may vary. So it's going to be interesting to look at different counties in different states and look at health outcomes of this population.
And you get 2 years to make this study.
2 years, yes, 2 years. So the first year we're focusing on the quantitative side of it. So we're looking at variables, as I mentioned, looking at physical health, behavioral outcomes. And what we're doing is a multi-level analysis. So we're trying to see how environmental factors influence that. For example, if a county has very high income inequality, how that impact the health of Latinos. If a county have very limited number of bilingual professionals, how that impact the health. But also at the individual level, variables such as socioeconomic status, family education. So we're looking at all these different levels, how they impact health. So that's what is unique about this. We know that the environment influences our health, but there's very few studies that look at how it is influencing. What are the variables that are really interacting to create these disparities?
That's going to be a great study.
I'm very excited.
Now, when we were talking before the camera started rolling about a mentor you had, and I imagine you are a mentor to others as well. Do you want to share who your mentor was and maybe who looks up to you? We have a guest coming on who looks up to you.
Thank you. I have 3 important mentors in my life, and I think they have helped me form in different ways. One of was Alexis Walker, and she passed away in 2011. But Alexis Walker was an amazing researcher and writer. She really helped me overcome my fears. When English is your second language, sometimes you're scared of speaking out, of writing your ideas, your thoughts, and she really helped me overcome that. And she's the kind of mentor that I find myself asking, what would she do in this situation? So she's always my point of reference, very fair, smart, caring individual. And I have 2 other wonderful mentors that I'm very lucky to have them close by. Dr. Richard Setterstand, he's a well-known researcher in the area of life course. So from him, I have learned to understand the context and how the context influences us and how our individuality interact with that context where we're growing. But also, he have helped me see beyond the possibilities. It's a great mentor. And I have Dr. Marie Harvey. She is a great public health researcher that also value the importance of diversity in the field. So she always have helped students of color, students that come from disadvantaged backgrounds to reach their maximum potential. And she's now helping me with this grant to take me to a higher level in the research work that I'm doing. And I couldn't have better examples.
That's great.
I think in my mentoring with my students, I try to challenge them to look beyond what they see as their current possibilities, to don't be scared, of their limitations, just see how to overcome them. And I also value and understand the challenges that students of color or from disadvantaged background brings, and I see them as assets. So Western Oregon has so many first-generation college students, right? And that can be a big challenge. But I think also it's telling that these students are very resilient, that despite some of the odds being against them, they're here. They are ideally moving out of poverty for some of them. And if you mentor them well, you know that they're also going to be able to carry that work forward. So it's this idea of pay it forward.
That's fabulous. That's good advice for all. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I enjoyed our talk. And I hope you have a very nice holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have with us now Juan Navarro. He's a student here at Western Oregon University. He's also the community liaison for Independence. Welcome, Juan.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad you could make it. Could you tell us, please, initially, I know you're from Mexico, and I read your story in the newspaper and thought it was a fascinating story, and I wanted to have you on our program because you have a great story. And you're originally from Mexico. Can you tell us what brought you up to Oregon?
Well, what originally brought me up to Oregon was when I was born in Guadalajara, Mexico, which is one of the bigger cities in Mexico. I was growing up just like a regular kid. My parents were poor farm workers. My mom didn't work. About the time where kids start walking, my father noticed that I couldn't walk. And he went to the Mexican government for assistance because he's a poor farm worker. He can't afford health care there. They initially just told him, hey, be prepared to just have your son in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. So my dad didn't like that. So my dad said, so we're going to go to the Great North, which is the United States. And so we ended up crossing the border, and we ended up staying in California for, I think, a couple of months. But then my uncle, who lived in Oregon, said that there's a place called Shriners Hospital up in Portland, and it was free of charge. So that my parents just decided to come up here, live in a small town state in Oregon, and they loved it. I got my surgeries, I got to walk, and they loved it here so much that we ended up staying.
And you live fairly close by. Where did you grow up now?
I grew up in Staten, Oregon, which is about 45 minutes away from here, and about 20 minutes away from Salem. So.
Okay. So you know the area pretty well now.
17 years.
So no wheelchair, and you were into all sorts of sports in high school.
Yes, I was.
So that's absolutely fabulous. Sounds like your father's tenacity rubbed off on you because you wanted to go to college. Tell us about that.
Well, there's no secret. I am undocumented and I am unafraid because I know who I am now. But my story about going to college was much more difficult than the average person. Because for the average person, it's like, oh, you fill out FAFSA, you do your SATs, and you get to pick what college you get to go to, the one that gives you the best nice little package. For me, it wasn't not so much. I was a 3.9 student in high school. Senior year, I kind of quit because I couldn't go to college because I didn't have papers. I didn't have legal status to go to school. So I ended up, my dad just says, hey, we'll support you, go to school. Good things happen to good people. So we ended up going to Chemeketa. Like my parents supported me. They paid. We paid out of pocket for 2 years before I got a job. Before I got a job on campus, that paid my third year, and then I had a great support system that gave me all the resources necessary to apply to universities, and I chose Western because I want to do something with the children with disabilities. And I really enjoyed the up-and-coming exercise program that they have here. So.
Oh, good, good. And you received a scholarship. I know as undocumented, backstory, I used to work in financial aid and in Colorado and in Washington, and we would have undocumented students applying, and we couldn't give them federal or state aid, but we sure worked hard to find scholarships.
Yes.
So I imagine scholarships are very important. You
Yes.
received one?
Yes, they are. When you're undocumented, your grades matter. Your volunteer work matters. Everything you do, every little thing, who you are matters. I do have a big scholarship here, and it's called, I'm a diversity scholar here on campus, which is kind of the scholarship that MSSP office gives out, the Multicultural Services and for Students Programs Center. Yes. But yes, I have a scholarship there. I also did a lot of fighting at the state capitol for in-state tuition for undocumented students, because I believe that we're not international students. We are residents of this beautiful state of Oregon, and we deserve to be treated as such. We deserve to be charged $20,000. We should deserve to be charged the same tuition you or I would go to school here.
I'm so glad. And I take it that passed or not? Do you get to pay in-state?
I do get to pay
Good.
in-state.
I'm so glad. I'm fairly new to the state, so I wasn't sure if that had passed. That's great news. So now you're into public health. You were also thinking of picking up another. Wait, I'm sorry. You're thinking of picking up public health as a second major. Tell us about that.
I wanted to pick public health as a second major because I do empathize with a lot of the health issues that comes to our communities, and I want to use that as kind of leverage, because if one day I become a teacher, physical therapist, whatever my future beholds me, I do want to get into politics, and I do want to become a politician in the health field. I want to make sure that our school systems have good foods. I want to make sure that pretty much practice healthier lifestyles for everyone, because I think that's very important. And I think a degree in public health would kind of like enhance my knowledge in that.
Good, good. Was there a faculty member that kind of led you along that direction, or do you have a mentor of some kind?
Mentors of some kind. I have many. One of my biggest mentors was her name's Cleo Alvarez, and she was actually the person that kind of encouraged me to go to school, because I was not going to go to Western. I was going to finish Jamaica and go work whatever I could. But she's like, no, you're too smart. You're going to go to school, and here's a list of scholarships. Here's this. I'll help you out. And my other mentor was, her name's Sarah Saucer, which she worked at Jamaica as well, and she's amazing. Like, she helped me fix my essays. She's a God's blessing in a way.
I'm glad to hear that you've had help along the way, but it sounds like you've helped others along the way. There are students that look up to you, and
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that a little bit?
Students that look to me, I literally just tell them my story. I tell them, like, I tend to attract the more undocumented students that tend to be a little bit more shy about who they are, and I try to poke at them just so they just say, I'm undocumented and I'm afraid, because that's been a key phrase you say when you want to become more active in trying to pass legislation and stuff. I do have a lot of mentees. One is actually outside listening to this, and I met him during New Student Week of Western Oregon University's like little spiel while I was working as a plus team, and I think he has potential. And one day I hope to see him do really good things too. His major and his goals in life are completely different, but as long as he helps I have a feeling he will help the cause. He will help pass some immigration reform back in his day, because he's still young, 4 years of college still left in him, and I'm really proud of him. And I also do have another mentee that I recently got in touch with. She is a freshman as well, and she has the same story. She didn't know about all these scholarships and stuff. She's practicing actually health education, and I believe she has potential as well, because I gave a presentation at a conference in Portland a few weeks ago, and she was really into it, and I got her motivated, and I'm the one that just picks on these cues, and I see potential in people. So those two I'm watching very carefully.
Good.
And they mean a lot to me, even though I barely just started to know them, because I know they will have a lot of potential. They're very good people, and they're very motivated in school. And I'm just, it's sad that I won't get to see them like past their sophomore years.
You know, you're leaving a legacy here at the school too, so they're going to remember you. And tell us, you're involved in so many things as the community liaison. I know Dia de los Muertos.
Yes.
That was a big deal that you were
Involved.
very involved in Independence. How did it go?
The Dia de los Muertos event went very successful. It was the idea was to have to bring more culture, to pretty much invite people to the Civic Center, which is City Hall, because if you think about it, not everyone's excited to go to City Hall. Sometimes it's a little daunting, so we wanted to hold that event there, and then the idea was to have displays of the community members have displays of loved ones in one room. And then on the other side, we would have like kind of like a community gathering type of thing. We had tamales, we had champurrado, and we had a we had pan dulce, and it was just a nice little event where people can mingle.
Oh, good.
We even got the mayor to participate in it too. So
Good.
it was a nice event. I enjoyed it.
Good. And then you had said something when we spoke earlier about Martin Luther King. You're involved in a program that day, or?
I'm involved in the Martin Luther King Planning Committee, which is a committee that that essentially plans Martin Luther King Week, and I am in charge with a couple other students. We're in charge of the student panel, and we plan to do some. We're in the works of how we're going to do the panel, but it's going to be an exciting thing.
Good, good. Well, I've enjoyed our time together and getting to know you a little bit. I thank you for coming on the program, Juan.
Thank you. Same here.
And now we have Mark Girod with us. He is the Dean of the College of Education here at Western Oregon University. He's also a Monmouth native, and I think we'll start first with your experiences here in town. You came here, or you were born here in Monmouth.
Absolutely, yes. Both my wife and I were born and raised in Monmouth, Oregon. Went to, at that time, Western Oregon State College, and actually before that, we had a lab school on campus, and we went to elementary school there. So we are definitely native Monmouth and Independence folks.
are.
So you bet.
And your father was also in the College of Education?
Both my yes, my mother, my father were both employees at Western. Both of my brothers went to school here for part of their educational experiences. So Western Oregon University is absolutely in my blood.
Good, good. And you've been married 22 years, you say?
Oh, yes,
That's
indeed,
nice.
yes.
And children?
3, high school senior daughter, looking to go to Western Oregon University to continue the tradition. 7th grade son and a 1st grade son, so we're pretty spread out. We're in that phase of life where we just follow our kids around, you know.
Yep, you're in the minivan stage and going to basketball games and so forth.
We are on our 2nd minivan. You nailed it.
You have live out in the country a little bit.
We do. We live on a little bit of a piece of farm property. My father-in-law was an old Eastern Oregon cowboy, and so we benefit from sharing his hobby, and we've got a little herd of cows and some horses, and so it's a lot of fun.
Good, good. Are they cows for milking or cows for eating?
They are the eating kind, exactly. And if one of them doesn't stay where he's supposed to stay, he's going to get eaten up here pretty quickly. So,
So living out a bit and having chores to do and being a dean of College of Education. Oh, and you're in other community groups, you're active in other things?
definitely, both my wife and I are very involved in the local community. My wife serves as the president of the Central Youth Sports Organization. I'm on the board of directors of the Monmouth and Independence YMCA. And, you know, our goals in life are to make our corner of the world as best that we can possibly make it. And we believe that serving our community through volunteerism is an important piece of that. So.
Good, Good. Well, now tell us about the College of Education. What's happening there?
Well, some exciting things. We just completed our national reaccreditation visit. We were successful in meeting all of the standards for educator preparation programs for both our initial programs and our advanced programs, and so we're very pleased with that. We are also about halfway through construction of our new education building, the Richard Woodcock Education Center. It's going to be a fabulous project. It's a demonstration project of the governor's wood products initiative. So it's a 2-story all wood building, fabulous. It's very cool.
Yeah, I'm seeing it on the screen right
Oh,
now.
there we
It's
go,
terrific.
yeah.
And it will be completed in the fall?
It'll be completed June 16, so we'll move in over the summer, and classes will be rolling fall 16. So we're very excited.
That's fabulous news. We also have a program that's new this year, the bilingual program, and would you speak to us about that?
You bet. As you know, Oregon serves an increasingly diverse K-12 student population. In fact, our major school district partner, Salem-Keizer School District here, is just right at 50-50 white, non-white students, and the majority of those non-white students are Latino or Mexican-American kids. And but the teaching workforce in Oregon does not match those demographics. The teaching workforce is overwhelmingly white. In fact, last year, the entire state of Oregon only produced 71 bilingual teachers. And so the need for bilingual teachers has rapidly outpaced our ability to provide that. So in partnership with Salem-Keizer, Hillsborough School District, and also our local school district here, Central School District, we've built a program where there are kind of 3 legs to the financial stool, federal financial aid, of course. Our school districts are providing some annual support for students through after-school bilingual tutoring or whatever it is. And then Western has scooped up a bunch of scholarship dollars and earmarked those dollars for students studying to be bilingual teachers. So several of our students, in fact, let's see, we have, I think, 45 of them on campus that are freshmen this year. Very exciting program. All of them are embedded in academic success programs and a strong network of mentoring and support. So it's a great opportunity. And the idea is that they will complete their preparation here at Western and go back to their local communities and work to change the world. So that's what we're after.
That's fabulous news. Are they guaranteed that position? Or guaranteed an interview for a position?
They're guaranteed an interview. Our partner school districts, but when we first had these conversations, they were prepared to guarantee these folks jobs. And we took that as a great endorsement of what we do here at Western Oregon University. They were confident enough in the quality of the teachers that they would get from our programs. In retrospect, I think they made a wise decision that they will guarantee all these folks interviews, all these young people interviews. But again, the idea is that they want all these students back. They want to hire them.
Yeah. Well, I saw that a study done last year said 1 in 4 kindergartners is Latino. And so I was thinking that means as they get older, they're going to need more and more bilingual teachers. So I think this is the right path. And then isn't there also something, I'm trying to remember it, 40-40-20?
Oh yeah, 40-40-20 goals, kind of Oregon's educational goals for this next generation. And with this increasingly diverse student population, this is the next generation of Oregonians, and we need to build an educator workforce that is well positioned to help every child maximize his or her potential. And so that's what we're trying to do in partnership with some of our local school districts.
When I was growing up in California, we lived in an agricultural community, also about 50% Latino. And everybody learned to speak Spanish as well as English starting in 3rd grade. So I have a little background of the second language, but I think that it's a great way to to make this a world community, and
Absolutely.
makes most sense.
We have increasing numbers of our local school districts offering two-way bilingual programs. In fact, in some cases, all the way up through the completion of high school. And it's fabulous because we're getting those students now at Western Oregon University who have, they have grown up learning in two languages. And I mean, as you know, that gives you a
Sure.
leg up in,
It
the,
sure
in, the wor-
does.
in life. That's really important.
It certainly does. It certainly does. Well, I'm so glad we have this chance to talk. This was fabulous. I am thankful that you were able to take some time out today.
Well,
and
I very much
talk with
appreciate
us.
chatting with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Wasn't that a fun show? Thanks to those special guests we had today. You can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and local cable. See you next time, and until then, I'll see you around town.